The western Himalayas soar towards the sky. Guarding an ancient way of life. This valley is largely rural and most people live off the land. I reflect on my journey so far.
You are in Kulu, so Kulu is known as the Valley of the Gods.
Devbhumi, the land of the gods, yes.
Meru helped me in my exploration of this mythical landscape of the land of the gods. I discovered that every village here was home to several gods and ancient village deities who held sway over the collective consciousness of the local mindset. For the locals, their deities were considered living gods. These individualistic gods were not just confined to the temple, but moved around on beautifully decorated palanquins. The gods of the valley walked and danced with their people and even spoke to them. They spoke through their specially selected mediums, the shamans, locally called gurs. A Himachali shaman's most important role was to intute the will of the divine, which he did by ritually invoking his deity and going into divine possession trance. An altered state of consciousness which allowed the spirit of the deity to take over his body and speak through him. I realized that getting into trance possession was the most essential aspect of being a Himachali gur. But was Gur Tularam's trance a divine possession or just a performance? Back in my urban myth, I meet up with Dr. Sudhir Kakkar to get his point of view.
Well, the shaman's role is a very important one in any community, and the most important is to connect it to the sacred. He is also the transmitter of the past and the mythology of the community.
So tell me, in trance possessions, then what is actually happening there?
When he goes into trance position, what is happening is that in the altered state of consciousness he is coming into.
Back in Manali, I reflect. A shaman was a medium and a myth keeper. But what exactly was his role and importance in this society? I knew I must delve further and meet other shamans.
Hi, Meru.
I request Meru to introduce me to other gurs to further my investigation.
We have in Shuru, we have a very strong Devi and very powerful. And the shaman is also quite strong. So,
Why is she powerful?
like lots of people go for their healings, like whatever problems they have. So, Hanji. So they go and do the pooch there. So
What's the pooch?
Pooch is like asking the question to the Devi. In pooch, like they ask the question through the shaman.
So does he go into trance then?
Hanji.
Acha. So he goes into trance and he answers for the Devi.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the Devi answering.
Yeah, it's a Devi talking.
To her people.
Yeah, to her
Acha,
people.
that's interesting. So definitely we should go and see that.
Yeah.
Meru and I make our way to Shuru village. I require permission from the gur and more importantly, his Devi to film. Shuru village is named after Sharvari Devi, a manifestation of goddess Parvati, the consort of Lord Shiva. Sharvari Devi is considered to be an extremely powerful goddess known for her immense healing powers and benevolence. And Hardyal is her guru. He is a popular oracle and adept at magical religious practices. Today, the village is in a celebratory mood. Village folk are rejoicing the arrival of a guest, Devta Shandil Rishi, from an adjoining village. Women line up the path to welcome him. Meru and I join the celebrations. As living gods, the Devi and Devtas of the valley are bound by ties of friendship, kinship, and social obligation, pretty much in the same manner that locals are. They often visit each other at festivals, birthdays, and sometimes even on whim. Hardyal's most important role is to lead all rituals and ceremonies of Sharvari Devi. He now escorts his Devi to greet Devta Shandil Rishi, who is her brother. Hardyal is now joined by the gur of Devta Shandil Rishi. Both the gurs sport long hair, which is considered to be an aspect of their shamanic power. Now the gurs perform a curious ritual called Devkhel, which literally means the dance of the divine, and it depicts the gods meeting and dancing together. The gur of Devta Shandil Rishi now dances with iron chains, which are considered to be sacred weapons of his deity, signifying deity, might and power. I notice the intense attention that the people, old and young, pay to the ceremony. These sacred rituals are imbued with the power to invoke the cultural mythos of the community. And by actively participating in these sacred ceremonies, people invite inspiration, guidance, and blessings of the divine. Later, I meet Hardyal and submit my plea. Will the Devi please allow me to film his pooch? And I'm really happy when she obliges. A few days hence, Meru and I make our way back to Shuru village to Sharvari Devi's temple. We find Hardyal sitting on a special platform surrounded by lots of locals who have come for his pooch session. Hardyal begins to ritually invoke Sharvari Devi. He rings the Devi's sacred bell with one hand and holds the sacred urn containing juniper in the other. Both are important to induce trance. Now he chants mantras and offers flowers to the four directions. The priest assists him, acting as both the interpreter and the rememberer of the Devi's words. After all, Hardyal will not remember anything that transpires during his trance. Hardyal deeply inhales the juniper smoke from the incense urn. He puts some juniper leaves in his mouth and plucks a hair from his forehead, asking for the Devi's blessings to enable him to speak her words appropriately. And then he lets his cap fall. People wait expectantly for the divine visitation. Suddenly, Hardyal begins trembling. And then shaking uncontrollably. And he slowly dissolves into the divine. His persona changes completely. The somber ambience of the pooch now transforms into a vibrant question and answer session with the Devi. This family is here to ask the Devi for the cause of their spell of ill health. Now, the Devi gets angry and questions their faith. The man begs for forgiveness. Meru tells me that the Devi has asked the family to come back for another pooch, where she will give them a specific remedy. Deities usually insist on repeated visits to ensure the endurance of faith. This man is here to ask the Devi for a solution for the huge losses in his business. He relentlessly pleads with the Devi for redressal. Hardyal puts a few grains of rice in his hands. Meru explains that this is also a method of divination. Hardyal will interpret the number of rice grains in the man's hand. Odd means that the wish will be fulfilled, while even means that there will be obstacles. I note that the locals openly discuss all their problems with their Devi. They come to her even with their mundane issues, like causes and cures of illnesses, dates for sowing, harvesting or weddings. Financial troubles or personal problems are all brought to the feet of their Devi.
सोचिए ज्यादा थी पूछी घटती समझा सुटाती दोती विसित करिए देती देवड़ी न सुटाती स्वता जोता पर न करती रक्षा करिए देती गुण
I find this ease with which people talk to their deity very fascinating. It's like a hotline to God. The shaman is only a portal, a facilitator in their cosmic conversations. without a gur, people cannot communicate with the divine. And in this lies the gur's relevance and importance. Later, I chat with Gur Hardyal to get to know more about his life as a Himachali shaman. This amiable man has been the voice of Sharvari Devi for 20 years. Unlike most Himachali Gurs, he does not come from a family of Gurs. Sharvari Devi chose him out of the blue.
फिर आप कैसे गुर बन गए?
वो पहले तो जब माता श्रीन गांव में गई शंदोरी ऋषि के वहाँ 19 साल के बाद गई वहाँ पर, तो वहाँ पर खेल आई
आपके ऊपर?
हाँ, मेरे ऊपर खेल आई।
पता चला कि क्या हो रहा है?
नहीं कोई पता नहीं चला। जहाँ माता बैठती है ना, तो वहाँ पर पहुँच गए हम, घर से चले गए खेलते खेलते ही। तो माता के रथ के पास वहाँ तब वो आपके प्रेणी का नाग देवता है ना, वो अगली के साथ वो टोपी को निकालते हैं। जब टोपी निकाल दी तो घूर बन गए।
Hardyal lives with his wife and 4 children in Shuru village. His popularity speaks monetarily and he seems to be quite well off. Hardyal owns an apple orchard. This is a small piece of the Devi's land which he inherited from the previous gur. Until a few decades ago, large tracts of land were owned by the deities themselves and even registered under their individual names. As the deities' work, upkeep and travel kept their shamans fully occupied, the deities' land was given to them to provide a steady source of income. But I'm curious about Hardyal's divine possession trance.
तो जब आपको कैसा लगा जब आपको गुर बना दिया?
तो पहले तो ऐसा जैसा शरीर काम था ना, वो ही केला, कोई पता नहीं लगता था क्या हो गया कोई नहीं। हाँ, फिर उसके बाद गुड़ चुन गया तो तब माता की जो कार्रवाई तो वो तब गुड़ को करनी पड़ती है। तो अब जैसे अब जितनी माता के पास ज़्यादा क्या नाम हो गया, अब अच्छा ही लगता है और क्या करना।
तो जब आपको लोग पूछते हैं तो आपको खिलाते हैं उस टाइम?
तो जैसे हम थड़ी के ऊपर बैठते हैं ना जी, जो माता के मन से तो तब माता हमारे पास प्रवेश होती है।
तो जब आपको खेल आता है आपको पता चलता है क्या?
नहीं कोई पता नहीं चलता है। तो जब माता की शक्ति आती है तो माता अपने आप बात बताती है, बात देते हैं।
The summer months melt into the rains of July and August. I set out to explore several villages in the valley to experience for myself the incredible system of belief. I find that people here are in a dance with the divine every day of their lives.
पूरे जितना भी यहाँ की वादी है, इलाका है, इस इलाके में इस देवता को सबसे ही ज़्यादा पावरफुल और शक्तिशाली माना जाता है। यहाँ के हर काम, रीति रिवाज या यहाँ के कोई भी कार्य जो है देवता की अनुमति के बगैर नहीं चलते हैं।
People here consulted their deities for each and every decision pertaining to their lives. Besides individual problems, deities are always consulted for all community issues. Issues could be the construction of a new temple, asking the deity for rain or respite from it, auspicious dates to hold festivals, dates for sowing, harvesting, or any other problem. Here, two gurs attempt to solve a dispute between their two villages. The village folk discuss the issue with their deities through the gurs. The deities offer a solution through the gurs, which is hotly debated. Finally, the deity's mandate is accepted, willingly, gracefully, and without rancor. Deities order solutions ranging from appeasing weather gods, prophesizing future events, or conducting certain magical religious ceremonies. Gur Hardyal invites me to Shuru to witness a village purification ceremony. Shuru village has been facing a spate of poor luck. When Sharvari Devi was consulted, she ordered a chhidra. A chhidra is essentially a forgiveness ceremony in which the entire community collectively asks their deity to forgive them for any mistakes that they may have committed. Hardyal blesses a ball of thread. The Devi accepts the sacred offering. The sacred thread is now passed around to all present. This sacred thread now symbolically links the entire village to come within the ambit of their Devi's protection. I find that village deities govern the social, cultural, moral, and religious life of the village folk in all matters, mundane or grave. People here consult their gods for each and every decision pertaining to their lives, and the Gur is most imperative to mediate between them and the spirit world. These conversations with God or pooch sessions have two things in common. The first is the drama that a pooch session contains. I recollect my discussion with Dr. Sudhir Kakkar about dramatic performance.
Dramatic performance is much more effective in people, communities which are not literate, or even literate communities. People prefer drama much more because that involves emotions.
The drama is important to impress the psyche. And therefore, the ability of the Gur to perform in an arresting manner is extremely essential. The second commonality is, of course, the deep faith of the people in their gods and their collective religious mythology. In my explorations, I had heard several compelling instances of gurus making accurate predictions, healing incurable diseases, or even sometimes making the improbable possible. Even the erstwhile royal family of Kulu had a story to tell me. At a festival, I had noticed the prince getting very emotional in front of his deity's palanquin.
लगभग 10 साल हो गए। जो भगवान रघुनाथ की बदौलत कोई कमी नहीं थी। बेटी भी आज बेटे का काम करती है, किंतु हमारे यहाँ कुछ नियम है, उसके अनुसार पुत्र का होना आवश्यक है। मैं अपने कुल का ज्येष्ठ पुत्र हूँ, तो मेरे पुत्र नहीं था, तो भगवान रघुनाथ जी और कुल्लू के देवी देवताओं के पास पिताजी ने बहुत आराधना की। डॉक्टर का भी इलाज किया, ऐसा नहीं है कि उनका नहीं किया कोई। तो इन्हीं के कारण इस वक्त 9 मई 2008 को मुझे पुत्र और पुत्री प्राप्त हुए। तो इसमें भी भगवान का बहुत बड़ा हाथ है।
होता क्या है, तो आप कैसे एक्सप्लेनेशन देंगे इसका?
इसमें तो मैं सिंपल सी बात बोलूँगा कि एक विश्वास है। विश्वास सबसे बड़ी चीज़ है, और विश्वास अगर लेना है तो आप परीक्षा ना लेके आप विश्वास से अगर मांगेंगे तो सब कुछ मिलेगा। अगर आप अविश्वास से करेंगे तो कुछ नहीं मिलेगा।
Being a product of the urban myth, I was skeptical till my up-close and personal pooch session a few weeks later. It's early fall and the monsoon is over. The breeze is cooler and the apples have ripened. Today, Meru is taking me to meet a contemporary Indophile. And then? Chris Olmedo, who has been living here for 33 years.
So, Chris, Meru tells me that you've been living here for 30 years?
Yeah, 33 years.
33 as well, how come?
I married one of the local ladies from the Kulu Valley.
How come?
Kismet ki baat.
Kismat ki baat. Fated. What happened?
I just met her whilst trekking.
You fell in love with her?
I married her eventually, yeah. After getting permission from my in-laws.
And he says you have 5 kids?
6.
You have 6 children, wow. So you're a pakka local?
Yeah.
Pakka desi?
5 daughters, 1 son.
Yeah, okay. There's your beer.
Oh, thank you very much.
No, but now that you've been, been in this whole system for 30 years, do you kind of believe it? Do you follow it?
Sure.
You do?
It's a part of my culture now, I suppose.
Do you participate in all the rituals?
Yeah, I go to quite a few of them. I've carried the deity a few times.
Really? And do you feel that it has an energy of its own and it takes you wherever it wants?
It has, but I've always asked it not to freak out with me when I'm carrying it. It's when it's come to my house on a few occasions.
Then Meru tells me that your brother-in-law is a shaman. Yeah?
Yeah, he's a shaman, yeah. And most of my in-laws are shamans or
Really?
gurus or
So you've seen them
pujaris.
for the last 30 years? Yeah. And do you believe in the shamans?
Yeah.
And what's special about your brother-in-law?
On occasions he does go into fire.
He goes into fire?
And it doesn't burn the hairs on his leg or it doesn't burn the flesh.
Wow.
Which is quite amazing, really, no?
So can I meet him?
Sure. Actually, in a week's time, we have a pooch going on at our place.
A pooch.
So please come.
And what's going to happen?
We're going to have to wait and find out.
A week later, Meru and I drive through the valley towards Chris's village. Halan is off the roadhead and we have to walk 3 hours uphill to Chris's home, literally atop a mountain. Chris's youngest son Harry escorts us in our arduous but lovely climb. En route, Meru tells me more about Chris. Earlier in England, Chris was a police officer. Now he is a tour operator and organizes angling trips. But he was hooked by Shanta, who has reeled him into a life of domestic bliss. Completely in tune with the local way of life, Chris has found acceptance even in this conservative society.
Anu, this is the last point. Beyond this point, you are not allowed to take any leather goods. So they have written.
गांव के अंदर चमड़े के जूते या चमड़े की कोई भी वस्तु लाना सख्त मना है. Why is that, Meru?
I find that in the remote villages like Halan, people have preserved their ancient customs, and the influence of their village gods is all-pervasive and rigid. We make our way to the temple of the village deity Nag Dhumal, who is a snake god. Outsiders are not allowed, so I pay my respects from the courtyard. Snake gods are ancient village deities. Meru tells me these are water gods. They cause rain and control floods, and are invoked whenever the locals have problems with these elements. And the gur of Nag Dhumal is Tej Singh, Chris's brother-in-law, who I'm here to meet. Tej Singh comes from a family of gurs and performs the dual role of a shaman and a priest for his snake god. Finally, we reach Chris's quaint cottage, and he shows me his panoramic view. Certainly worth the effort. We are warmly welcomed by Shanta.
नमस्ते जी. बहुत सुंदर है आपका घर. बहुत व्यू देखिए कितना. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, Mira. Thank you. Cheers. Then.
Thank you. Cheers. Cheers.
Soon, Chris, Shanta, their 5 daughters, Tej Singh and I gather in the attic for the pooch session. This will be a personal inquiry from the Devta to seek the cause and a solution for their daughter's illness. I am grateful for the privilege of being invited to this private and intimate commune with the Devta. Now everyone awaits the divine possession trance. Shanta addresses the Devta through Tej Singh. But Tej Singh does not respond, so Shanta coaxes him again. I watch intently. Would Tej Singh get into trance today? Everyone too seems tense. Suddenly, Tej Singh's body begins shaking. He is now in a divine possession trance, and his personality becomes aggressive. The energy emanating from Tetsing is supercharged. The entire family gets very emotional. Then Shanta introduces me to Tetsing, or rather, she introduces me to the Devta. The Devta addresses me directly. He intuits that I have a health problem. Soon, the trance is over. But Tetsing begins shaking again. He blows on me and addresses me again. Inexplicably, I too am overwhelmed. The trance seems to have taken a lot out of Tetsing. He seems exhausted and is completely drenched in sweat.
आपको कुछ भी याद है अभी आपने क्या बोला था?
नहीं बहुत कम पता नहीं क्या भूल गया थोड़ा बहुत ही।
तो अभी जब आप धूमल को बुलाया था आप
सब
सबको बुलाया
सब देवते का नाम लेते हैं हम सबका।
ये मेरा यहाँ
देवता है ना यहाँ अग्निपताल है यहाँ अग्निपताल का जो है वो बनाया है यहाँ दर्श बनाया है उसकी पूजा करते हैं हम फिर जिसके पास आते हैं बहुत।
और आपको कुछ होता नहीं है?
कुछ नहीं होता अगर बाल होता है ना ये भी नहीं जलते।
लीला क्या बोला था देवता ने आपको?
ये हिलाने को दिया है किसी ने।
मगर आपको कोई प्रॉब्लम है?
कभी सर में दर्द कभी पैर में कभी हाथ में कुछ ठीक नहीं है।
फिर
आज तक नहीं मालूम था कि खाने के दौरान किस वजह से हो रहा है। आज तक हमने पूछा भी नहीं था देवता कि वे क्यों होता दर्द है वो। आज पूछा तो फिर देवता ने बता दिया कि आपको खिलाने को दिया है इसलिए दर्द होता है।
और क्या इलाज के लिए बोला?
बस बोला है कि नहाने के लिए सुबह ऊपर जंगल में टेंपल है देवते का वहाँ जाके नहाना है।
आप जाओगे? कब जाओ?
संडे
को। Can you tell me what he said that was wrong with me?
He said that somebody put evil eye on you, and within a week or so you'll be feeling a lot better.
Okay.
देवता ने बोला ना आपको कोई है आपका दुश्मन है कोई कुछ करता है आपको।
तो इलाज क्या है इसका?
इलाज बोला देवता ने खुद करना आप देखना आपकी सेहत कैसी हो जाए एक हफ्ते में लगना पता आपको।
बोलो ठीक हो जाएगा?
हाँ ठीक हो जाएगी।
Yes, faith is the key. Being born into this belief system and experiencing it on a daily basis through childhood builds a strong bedrock of faith in the omnipresence of the divine. And there is an ease in the locals' relationship with the divine. The Devta here is not a faraway god, but a here and now god, and always on call. And now it's time for the birthday celebrations.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Daddy. Happy birthday to you.
Tej Singh too enjoys himself. Tej Singh's trance and the power of his performance were unquestionable. It had touched a deep emotional chord within me. But did I believe in Tej Singh's prophecy? My rational mind rejects the evil eye theory, but somehow I grapple with the question, could it be? I am now compelled to investigate this phenomenon, spirit illness, its causes and cures. And this would lead me to discover the mysterious and magical world of sacred healing.